What is up, visuals? Welcome back to the Visual Guy podcast in a very relaxed manner. As I say, relaxed. The dog's kicking off outside about something because it's another solo run. Why is it a solo run, visuals? Well, Rabibi's asleep next door, and Chris couldn't attend this weekend. Well, Chris could attend this weekend, but me and Rabibi had a big old weekend because we went to go see Green Day and Fall Out Boy live, and it was fucking sick. So you get another edition of the probably yawny and really fat and really, yeah, I don't know what I was going to say there. Some really white girl attitude to Miss Marvel. I'm bringing the white girl mojito frappuccino. I don't fucking know what them classic white girls drink. Um, but it is Miss Marvel. It is spoiler heavy. It is the review and the things I noticed in episode 3. Don't forget to let me know what you noticed inside of episode 3 because there's probably a lot more because you're not as fucking stupid as moi. But I didn't actually notice a hell of a lot. I've only got one side of notes as compared to the usual um, 2 pages, sometimes 2.5 pages, whatever. But I've only seen it twice as well. I've done the episode twice, and I'm still enjoying the episode. Or sorry, the series. I know a lot of people are saying it's not very good, blah blah blah, but I'm finding it so much fun. And I think B pointed this out as well. And I completely agree. I think it's because I see so much of myself in Kamala Khan. Not the fact that I've got powers or anything. I wish her love and enthusiasm for heroes and all this kind of stuff, and her make believe fantasy world because I constantly live in a daydream land, just thinking about Spider Man. Well, obviously, hers is Captain Marvel. The episode's cool. It's a very steady pace at the start of this episode. The family's coming together. There's this big wedding happening. It's showing the culture and what the families and all that do inside of Kamala Khan's religion and beliefs and stuff. We get to this big, awesome, beautiful, bright wedding, and then all of a sudden it just kicks off. Agents coming in and the jinns coming in and kicking off and fighting. It was a nice little fight sequence. I enjoyed Kamala Khan really putting her knowledge of her powers to the test, which is obviously not a lot of knowledge, but she's trying whatever she can to fend them off. But then the Department of Damage Control comes in with some special agents, which we'll get to in a split sec. So it was a really fun episode, and I can't wait to see how episode 4 carries on from this. And I can't wait to see eventually she'll end up with Captain Marvel, and we assume Monica Rambeau and stuff. But the Easter eggs I noticed, yeah, I mentioned just then, the Jinns, her ancestors were we know them as Jinns. They're part of a group like um, uh, not organization. There's this group of clandestines. In the comics, they were called clandestines. I'm assuming it's still them, but they say we're more commonly known as jinns and whatnot, and they come from another dimension which we know about. But the clandestines from the comics, to make it slightly different from in the show, they're all the children of Adam from a different dimension and stuff. So there's a little bit of a difference. I don't know how they're going to take it forward and take a look at it a bit. Um, how they're going to put their own MCU spin on all of it, I should say. They've also been called the Unseen, which is quite cool because they've been able to travel across the multiverse and whatnot under under the radar from the Watcher, who obviously can see everything and do everything and just be a big headed fucking twat. I don't know why I call him a twat. I love the Watcher, but they've been known to be called the Unseen. So we'll see if any of that takes place inside of the show, or if they're going to leave that aspect or whatever. The coolest thing we can take away from this episode, we see the temple. And it looks to be this temple was dedicated to the 10 rings. And obviously, we know when Wu went around traveling and doing a bit of his own little archaeology stuff, finding his old ancient weapons, he finds the 10 rings. So I said it, I think I said it last podcast, the start of the podcast. I'm getting very Shang-Chi vibes here because I feel like, his weapons and Kamala Khan's weapons are going to be going onto the greater picture, and we're going to be getting the what is coming for the big next phase of the MCU soon. So it's definitely going to have connections there with the 10 rings, and now we know the bangle and stuff. Another cool thing is we know the Kree were in this episode because we get the blue arm that one of the bangles is retrieved from inside of the tomb. Blue arm suggests and leads to it being a member of the Kree species. Dr. Eric Selvig gets a name drop from a Bruno, so we all don't talk about Bruno, but we do in this episode. What else have I got on my notes? Good thing Good is not a thing you do. You are. It's a thing you do. It's a comic book line from Kamala Khan in the early issues of her run. And my last little note here is, what have I written down? What have I written down? Because I cannot. Oh yes, yes. Um, we see the damage of compartment control, which is quite cool. And they come in with a group of what looks like the Cape Killers, which were a special shield sort of group trained specially in taking down superheroes and whatnot, or villains, people with abilities and stuff. Because it's not just a typical agent that comes in with these proper MCU stormtroopery looking badass fucking special ops people. Um, yeah, that's my. I can screw that up. That was my notes for Miss Marvel, but are you still enjoying it? I really, really do see the charm. Because there's a lad at work watching it. He's like, Dan, I'm not loving it. It's because it's not, it feels too kiddie and whatnot. And I get why it's too kiddie. It's on Disney Plus. Well, MCU has to be somewhat kid friendly because they want the whole audience. They want the typical Disney audience and stuff. And it gets the more money for everybody can go. And I get it when you spin off the back of like Doctor Strange and potentially what's coming up with Gore the God Butcher and shit. I do get it, and it's not the most fast paced and hard hitting series we've ever had, but I am really enjoying it. There's a certain charm to it and a lot of fun that I'm finding with it, and again exploring this version of Kamala Khan and what's going to go down and what's going to happen with her. I dig it, and I like Bruno. I think Bruno's cool. The Jins, we'll just keep calling them the Jins, were quite scary in this. They went from happy to, oh, you can give us a hand to that, I was sick of waiting, now we're going to smash your face in. They just go nuts. Like the fight sequence in the kitchen, that was sick. Kamala Khan, she got tricked to use her powers to expose where her position was, and obviously her family now slowly find out that, Kamala Khan pushed the fire alarm and what's happening here, and it's all going to go down there. I still like this story. I know it's, maybe you could say it's been somewhat overplayed, but I like the story of her balance in her normal everyday life, her family life, and her new superpower, superhero life. She's already starting to question, the thing that you've always wanted. It turns out to be a bit more chaotic and not maybe what you wanted, blah blah blah. Because we all live in the fantasy world. I'd love to be a love to be Spider-Man, swinging around the city, be great. But then when the shit gets heavy and stuff, you're like, oh fuck, is this maybe a bit more than I could chew, whatnot. But yeah, and the only other thing is, as it stands, apart from with the Ten Rings potential connection and Kree and what's going on with the Jinn and multiversal travel, there isn't a whole lot to try and connect about what's going further forward and what they're going to do, what's going to happen. It just seems like a small little step at the minute. We're only halfway through of what's going to happen next with her story and the next phase and carry on. But I still like it. I still love it. I think the young actress playing Kamala's doing a great job. I think everybody's absolutely killing it. I can't wait to see her, like I said, in Miss Marvel, the Marvels. If they potentially do a Young Avengers, if she's going to be in the Young Avengers, I can't wait for all that visuals. But yeah, it's going to get a nice solid. So far, overall, this almost gets an 8 out of 10 and a solid 10 out of 10. It's not really doing much to offend me or uh, not be entertaining or anything. I think it's just because it's not as hard hitting as usual. But the shows, you've got to be somewhat steady paced. There's 6 episodes. They can't just chuck everything in episode 1 and say, "All right, see you later." You've got to keep coming back. Give us a reason to keep coming back each week. And some parts have got to be quite slow. But no, I dig it. I like it. But what do you think, visuals? Anything I've noticed? Not noticed, I should say. Anything you have noticed? Because, like we said, you're smarter than moi. And I'm very chilled out. We were seeing Green Day last night, like I said, and my voice is a little bit wrecked in my knees and my back because I'm 28, but I have the body age of a 50 fucking to 60-year-old where I can't move and everything hurts. But it was fun. I love Green Day and I love you guys. Thank you so much for getting us over 700 well visuals. We need to get a special video up for that ASAP. I'm so close to the microphone. I feel like I'm doing some weird ASMR crack now. I'm just looking at because obviously I've got a GIF over the top of this video, but there's just like little Lego in the background. I can just see Hawkeye up against an AIM agent. But anyway, visuals, let me know what you think of the episode and let me know what you think of the review. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching. You guys are literally the best, and we'll always keep being you. I'll keep on, I'll keep it out.